10 everyday things that hurt your dog's feelings. Stop now. Your dog has been trying to tell you something every single day, and there's a good chance you've been missing it. Not because you don't love him, not because you're a bad owner, but because dogs speak a language built entirely out of posture, timing, and tiny movements around the mouth and eyes. And humans, for the most part, never learn to read it. Here's the uncomfortable part. Some of the things we do out of pure affection, for example, a tight hug, a stern look, or a scolding, after we walk in and find the trash can knocked over, are things your dog's body is quietly telling you it doesn't like. Not because your dog is fragile, because dogs evolved a completely different emotional toolkit than we did, and when we ignore it, something in the relationship quietly erodes. By the end of this, you won't just know what not to do. You'll understand why your dog does the things it does, and you'll start noticing signals you've been walking past for years. Number 1, the bear hug. Start with the one almost everyone does. You come home, your dog is thrilled, and you wrap both arms around him and pull him in tight. To you, that's love. To a dog, a tight, immobilizing hug from above can read as something closer to being pinned. Dogs are a cursorial species, built by millions of years of evolution to solve problems by running. Take away their legs, and you take away their primary coping mechanism. Canine behaviorists who study body language during hugs consistently point to the same cluster of signals. Ears pinned back, whites of the eyes showing, a stiff whale eye glance to the side, licking the lips with nothing to eat nearby. None of that is a dog enjoying itself. It's a dog holding still because it has no other option. This doesn't mean no dog on earth tolerates contact. Many dogs, especially ones raised around gentle handling from puppyhood, learn to accept or even enjoy hugs from people they trust completely. But tolerance and enjoyment are not the same thing, and the difference shows up in the face, not the tail. What to watch for? Lip licking, head turning away, a tensed body that goes rigid rather than relaxed, or a slow blink followed by a sigh. What to do instead? Let affection happen at dog height, a hand resting on the chest, scratches at the base of the tail, or simply sitting on the floor and letting your dog choose the contact. Consent for a dog looks like leaning in. Number 2, scolding them for something they did 10 minutes ago. This is the one that surprised researchers the most. In 2009, comparative psychologist Alexandra Horowitz ran a deceptively simple experiment. She let dogs either eat a forbidden treat or leave it alone, then told the owners, sometimes truthfully, sometimes not, whether the dog had misbehaved. Whether the dog's demeanor included elements of the guilty look had little to do with whether the dogs had actually eaten the forbidden treat or not. Dogs looked most guilty if they were admonished by their owners for eating the treat. Read that again. Dogs that had been obedient and had not eaten the treat, but were scolded by their misinformed owners, looked more guilty than those that had in fact eaten the treat. The guilty look wasn't guilt at all. It was a response to owner cues rather than an appreciation of a misdeed. So when you come home to a chewed shoe and greet your dog with a stern voice, the guilty face you are seeing isn't a confession. It is your dog reading your tone and body language in real time and bracing for what's coming, completely disconnected from whatever happened an hour earlier. Dogs don't build a timeline the way we do. They cannot connect a punishment now to an action from this morning. All the scolding accomplishes is teaching your dog that you are unpredictable when you walk through the door. What to do instead? Manage the environment so the mistake cannot happen again, and save any correction for the exact moment you catch a behavior, not minutes or hours later. Number 3, a hard stare held too long. We think of eye contact as connection. For dogs, it's more complicated than that, and the context changes everything. Mutual gaze between a dog and a trusted owner actually triggers a genuine biochemical bond. In a landmark 2015 study published in Science, researchers found that gazing behavior from dogs, but not wolves, increased urinary oxytocin concentrations in owners, which consequently facilitated owners' affiliation and increased oxytocin concentration in dogs, the same hormone system involved in the bond between a mother and infant. That's the good news. A soft, mutual gaze with your own dog is one of the most powerful bonding tools you have, and it appears to be something dogs evolved specifically for their relationship with us, since it doesn't show up the same way in wolves. But a hard, unblinking stare, especially from a stranger, or held too long during a tense moment, is read by dogs as a threat display. In dog-to-dog communication, direct, prolonged eye contact is a challenge, not a greeting. So the same behavior can mean warmth or menace, depending entirely on who's doing it, how soft the eyes are, and what else the body is doing at the same time. What to do instead? Soft-eyed, relaxed gaze with your own dog, especially during calm moments, deepens trust. With unfamiliar dogs, a slow blink and a slight head turn away is the canine equivalent of a friendly nod. Number 4, interrupting the sniff. You're on a walk, you're on a schedule, and your dog has stopped to investigate a fence post for the 4th time in a block. You tug the leash and keep moving. Here's what you're interrupting. A dog's sense of smell isn't just heightened, it operates on an entirely different scale than ours, with a nose built to detect scent in parts per trillion. That fence post isn't just a smell to your dog, it's a bulletin board. Which dogs passed through, how long ago, whether they were male or female, even something about their stress level, all embedded in the chemistry of urine and skin secretions. Letting a dog sniff isn't a delay in the walk. For the dog, it is the walk. Studies on canine enrichment consistently find that sniffing lowers heart rate and appears to reduce stress-related behaviors, functioning less like a bathroom break and more like a form of mental exercise. What to do instead? Build sniff time into the walk on purpose. A walk that is half structured movement and half let the nose lead is doing far more for your dog's well-being than a fast lap around the block ever will. Number 5, forcing a greeting. Someone reaches out to pet your dog leans back or turns its head away, and you say, "It's okay, he's friendly," and push the interaction forward anyway. This is one of the most common and most overlooked sources of everyday stress for dogs. The signals dogs give before a growl or a snap are usually subtle. A lowered head, a tucked tail, lip licking, or simply backing up. Behaviorists sometimes call these calming signals, small, deliberate attempts by the dog to diffuse a situation without conflict. When those signals get ignored again and again, a dog can learn that the subtle warnings don't work, and the only signal that actually gets a person to stop is a growl or a snap. This is one of the most well-documented pathways to what looks like a sudden aggressive outburst, but is, in fact, the predictable endpoint of a long pattern of unheard warnings. What to do? Instead, let your dog approach on its own terms and treat any hesitation as an answer, not an obstacle to work around. Number 6, punishment after the fact, or punishment at all. We already covered why scolding after the fact doesn't work, but there's a bigger issue underneath it: how punishment-based training affects a dog's emotional state over time. A 2020 study led by Ana Catarina Vieira de Castro and colleagues compared dogs trained with reward-based methods to dogs trained with aversive methods, things like leash jerks, shouting, or physical corrections. The dogs trained with aversive methods showed more stress-related behaviors during training sessions and higher cortisol levels, a hormone associated with physiological stress. Reward-based training, by contrast, was linked to a more relaxed emotional state without sacrificing effectiveness. This lines up with something trainers have argued for decades. Punishment might suppress a behavior in the moment, but it doesn't teach a dog what to do instead, and it comes with a cost to the relationship that reward-based training doesn't. What to do instead? Redirect toward the behavior you want and reinforce it. A dog that jumps on guests, for example, learns faster and with less stress when jumping earns nothing, and 4 paws on the floor earns a treat rather than being scolded for the jump itself. His tail was wagging, so I thought he was happy. This is one of the most common misreadings in dog ownership, and the science behind it is genuinely strange. In 2007, researchers Angelo Caranta, Marcello Siniscalchi, and Giorgio Valor-de-Gara discovered something nobody expected: differential amplitudes of tail wagging to the left or to the right side associated with the type of visual stimulus the animals were looking at. Follow-up work found that pet dogs exhibited a right-sided bias in tail wagging, which was more pronounced when the dog interacted with its owner than with an unfamiliar human, while wagging bias toward the left tended to show up around things that made dogs uneasy. And other dogs can read this. In a 2013 study, dogs show asymmetric tail wagging responses to different emotive stimuli, the outcome of different activation of left and right brain structures, controlling tail movements to the right and left side of the body. And when dogs watch footage of other dogs wagging with a left bias, they showed higher cardiac activity and higher scores of anxious behavior when observing left-biased rather than right-biased tail wagging. So a wagging tail is not a universal yes. A stiff, high, fast wag can accompany arousal, frustration, or even the moments right before a bite, not joy. A tail wagging low and loose with a relaxed body underneath it is a much more reliable signal of a genuinely happy dog. What to do instead? Stop reading the tail in isolation. Look at the whole dog: ears, mouth, weight distribution, and speed of the wag before deciding what it means. Number 8, isolating them as timeout. Dogs are a profoundly social species. Their closest wild relative lives and hunts in cooperative family groups, and domestication over tens of thousands of years appears to have deepened, not diminished, that pull toward attachment, particularly attachment to humans. Repeatedly shutting a dog away alone as a consequence for unwanted behavior, especially without any positive association, can chip away at a dog's sense of security rather than teach a lesson. Unlike a human child, a dog can't process that it is being separated because of what it did 5 minutes ago. What it experiences is simply, "I was removed, and I don't know why." This is different from a dog having its own comfortable space, like a crate it chooses to retreat to. The difference is agency. A dog seeking out solitude is regulating itself. A dog being banished is losing control over its own environment. What to do instead? If you need a dog removed from a situation, do it calmly and without drama, and make sure the space they are moved to is one they already associate with comfort, not punishment. Number 9, laughing at fear. Fireworks, thunder, the vacuum cleaner. A dog trembling, tail tucked, trying to squeeze behind the couch, and a phone comes out to film it because it's funny. Fear in dogs is not role play. It's a genuine activation of the same stress response system found across mammals, and repeated unaddressed exposure to a fear trigger without support can generalize, meaning a dog afraid of thunder can start reacting to related triggers like rain, wind, or even a dark sky. Dismissing or laughing at fear doesn't just fail to help, it removes the one thing that could help, which is a calm, secure presence the dog can lean on. Attachment research on dogs consistently finds that the presence of a trusted owner functions as what's called a secure base. Dogs regulate their stress response better when a bonded person is nearby, calm and responsive, similar to patterns seen in human parent-child attachment. What to do instead? You don't have to coddle fear, but you can be a steady, unbothered presence. A calm owner going about normal business is one of the fastest ways to help a dog's own nervous system settle. Number 10, expecting constant excitement. The last one is subtle, getting frustrated or hurt when your dog doesn't greet you with the same explosive enthusiasm every single time. Dogs have moods. They have off days, tired days, days when a nap matters more than a reunion at the door. A dog choosing to stay curled up rather than sprinting over isn't rejection. It's an animal with its own internal state that isn't required to perform for you. Treating a calm dog as a disappointing dog misses one of the more mature truths about the relationship. Trust doesn't always look like excitement. Sometimes it looks like a dog secure enough in the relationship that it doesn't need to prove anything every time you walk in the room. What to do instead? Notice the quieter signs of a good bond. A dog that sleeps soundly near you, follows you room to room at a relaxed pace, or leans against your leg without asking for anything. That's not a lack of love. It's the settled kind. Where the myths fall apart. A few beliefs run through almost every item on this list, and it's worth naming them directly. Dogs don't feel guilt the way humans construct it. The guilty look is a reaction to us, not an admission from them. Dogs aren't trying to dominate a household by making eye contact or ignoring a command. The old alpha framework was built on flawed research involving captive, unrelated wolves and doesn't hold up against how wild wolf packs or domestic dogs actually behave. And a wagging tail is not a universal translation for happiness. It's a signal that only makes sense in context. Where the science is still developing, like exactly how much dogs generalize fear or the precise emotional weight of a hug for an individual dog, it's honest to say the picture isn't complete. Dogs are not small, furry humans, and not every finding transfers cleanly from one dog to the next. Individual personality, breed history, and life experience all shape how a given dog responds. The bigger picture. None of this is about guilt-tripping anyone watching. Every single item on this list is something loving, well-meaning owners do every day, often because it's exactly what they'd want if they were the ones being hugged, praised, or scolded. The mismatch isn't a failure of love. It's a translation problem. And translation problems have a solution: paying closer attention. The dogs who seem the most in tune with their owners usually aren't the ones who got some rare gift of understanding. They're the ones whose owners spent years quietly noticing. A lip lick here, a tail carried a little higher there, a sigh instead of a bark. The more we understand our dogs on their own terms, the less mysterious their behavior becomes, and the stronger the bond we build with them turns out to be.